chat with you. The original Karate Kid and its like projects, they were led by like white and non-Asian faces, which is great. They were great movies. But for this film, they ensured an Asian character kind of reclaiming martial arts. And I was wondering what your thoughts were when you saw the casting call for an Asian character for the Karate Kid, and read the script and realizing, the story is kind of coming back to us, and we're reclaiming it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it made sense. And I thought it was cool that it made sense. Um, I think this whole franchise, interestingly enough, even if you look at the first Karate Kid movie. I mean, these are movies about karate. It is about, in the original, it was this Japanese tradition, and in the 2010 remake with Jackie Chan, it was the Chinese tradition of kung fu. And they've always included these prominent Asian American characters with the late great Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi in the first, which I really think, looking back on it, is like a pioneering performance and kind of a interesting instance of a character, which I know he's been sort of characterized in the years since. But if you look at the depiction that Pat brought to that character and the story of that character in the original, he's like a very super like well-rounded three-dimensional guy, with like he had a job, he had this backstory, and he's like it's mentioned in the movie that he served, with the 442nd in World War II. So it was like they didn't have to go that far, but I think, and especially then with the 2010 remake, which is set entirely in China, that this franchise has always had a respect that has been growing and changing with the times for this piece of Asian culture that it's always been grounded in, right? Which is karate
Yeah.
and then kung fu. And then in this film, which is appropriately sort of a combining of those two worlds, that it would feature you know an Asian main character to sort of like take these traditions, these pieces of culture which are you know uh, uh, rooted in Asia to begin with, and bring them to a new generation. I think it's great.
It was honestly satisfying when you were cast and then watching you on the screen because it's like, oh my, don't get me wrong. But again, love the movies, love the show. And I felt happy that it was just not the same story of a kid not knowing any martial arts
Right.
and then becoming the champion in like 2 months. And it's just felt very satisfying. It's like you knew what you were doing. You kind of broke stereotypes of not having an like Asian, you don't have to have the Asian accent. You spoke English because you went to boarding school. And I really love that, we got to have this dimension of like, so others who watch it, who love Karate Kid growing up, can see a different version and understand that Asians were very multidimensional. And I was wondering, what were you told about Yifeng and how did you kind of make him your own?
I wasn't told anything other than what was on the page. I think I'm very happy that, the studio and the filmmakers, and then both Ralph and Jackie gave me the trust to do basically whatever I wanted with this character, right? Ralph specifically gave me a call, and he was like, I know this franchise has, a deep legacy and these characters and these stories, but he was like, Jackie and I bring that legacy. You should feel free to do what it is with this character, make him fresh, make him your own. So I got a lot of freedom and encouragement to basically do what I want with the character, which I really like. And yet he has a lot of similarities with me in terms of his background, his backstory, right? This is a kid who is the character was, from Beijing, moves to America, and it has to figure out his life in New York. And I have the exact same story. I was born in Beijing. I grew up a little bit there, and then I came to the US, and then now I'm in New York. So it 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 was very unexpected to see a story that so closely resembles my own being, in a major studio blockbuster. So that I think that's a optimistic um sign of, the expanding scope of the stories that we're telling in
Well, I I
Mr.
know you like it reflects your story of moving with your mom from China to America and like I think Minnesota, you like or Michigan, yeah, Midwest. And I but you didn't fight in a karate tournament. I was wondering if there's something that resonated with you. I know you said you did after school, and I did a lot of research on you. So I'm like, and I follow your career too. Comfort Women, anyway, it's so great. Anyway,
Oh yeah. Wow. Oh my God.
but yeah, but you're fitting into a new place. Is there something that you've reflected with that I know your mom was supportive of you wanting to do this career, but was there something that, other than that resonated with you? Like something that you didn't traditionally want to do that like you wanted to do that wasn't traditionally okay? Or even acting. Like was there a situation where you felt a passion, like Yvonne wanted to was passionate about martial arts? Was there something that you were passionate about that, you got pushed back?
Um, no, I don't think so. Like with theater, when I started doing it, it's just with school, right? I was doing the school play and I was doing, a community theater. I grew up in a small town. There's not a whole lot to do there, especially if you're not good at like throwing or catching a ball, and I wasn't. So I think really when I started doing that, my mom was just happy that I was doing anything, that I was like getting out of the house. So she was, especially when I began at a young age, she was very encouraging of it. Um, because she saw that it was like a good way for me to grow socially, a good exercise for me, yeah, to grow, which is something that I've always been very thankful for. I think there was a little bit of like um, reticence when I told her that I wanted to do it professionally. But I think that just came from the fact that she wanted to make sure that that it was something that I could accomplish if I went for it, and it was something that I would be able to stick with because she understood that this is a career path that a lot of people dream about and try to go for. And then a lot of people, put a lot of time into it, but end up, you know, giving up. And she didn't want me to waste my time, right? So,
Of course.
um, there was a little bit of hesitation, but I think when I chose for myself to audition for these drama programs, and I flew myself out to audition for them. I paid for my own plane ticket. She didn't have anything to do with my college application process. She just sat back and said, you go for it, but you got to do it yourself." And so I did it myself. And then once I showed her that I could do that, and once I got into these, kind of prestigious colleges and drama programs, I think she was more okay with it. And she's been supportive ever since.
And well, no, it paid off and you're doing amazing. And I know that you've done, two projects already that centered on martial arts. And you have two upcoming movies that center on dystopian, like kind of
Sure.
dark
Yeah.
situations. Is there a genre that you would like to work in? Because I know you're a musical theater kid. Like
Yeah.
Comfort Women musical was great. Your voice is great. You did workshops, maybe a singing musical, movie musical, rom-com musical, like, or something like, is there something genre that you kind of, because you did two martial arts projects and you're doing two dystopian. Is there other genres that you kind of want to do?
I'd love to do a musical. That was my training. That was my background. And that was my first sort of dream, right? Early on was to work in musical theater because it was all I knew. I grew up in a place where I'd met people who'd done musicals. I didn't have anyone in my life who was working in film or TV professionally. So I just didn't know that that was a thing that you could do. Um, yeah, so a musical would be fun. A musical movie or, I don't know, I've sort of done sort of period pieces before, but something
Oh,
set in a different time would be fun to do too, I think.
well, you worked with industry legends like Michelle Yeoh, Daniel Wu, Ki Hee Kwan, and then Jackie Chan. This last question, and Ming Na Wen is your mother in this. Ralph Macchio, Joshua Jackson is like your bestie in the show in the movie.
Yeah,
Like, did you learn anything or receive advice from them about the industry, especially from Ralph, because you and Ralph suffer from young face syndrome?
sure.
Uh, and I was wondering, did they give you any advice about like the industry or just how to like just anything.
No, not really. No.
Well, did you learn anything from them or took anything
Sure.
from them?
Yeah, I learned plenty. Especially from like guys like Ralph and Jackie. They've been in the game for so long. Like Jackie Chan's been making movies since he was 6.5 years old. He's been in the industry now 64 or 65 years. He's made like 200 plus movies, and he still comes to set every day with like the passion of someone who's like on set for their first time. He's like enamored by the way everything works. He's curious about, every piece of the job. Still, he's seen it happen 200 times, and there's still things that he's, excited for. And it's the same with Ralph, who's been doing these films for 40 years. He's been doing this one character for 40 years, and he still has so much passion for preserving, the truth of that character, and the truth of the storyline that he set up 40 years ago with Pat Morita. So I mean, that seeing that was it was admirable, and sort of left me with no excuses, right? I if they can come with that much passion, then I got it. Then I got it,
No,
be on.
you're great, and I'm so excited that everyone's get to see it soon. And it's just amazing to see your face and be part of this. And honestly, it's just so inspiring too. Like I'm like, yeah, I've been watching it for years, and it's nice to see. I've been t complaining. I'm like, I need an Asian person to be the lead, and it answered my wish. Honestly, like we've
So
been
happy
waiting
with that.
forever.
Yeah,
So thank you so much. It was so nice talking to you. All
very nice talking to you, Laura.
right, thank
In the
you.
lectures, fanboys, professional artists, and professors. Maybe a nerd who's just like you, talking about the things that you like too. So I invite you to the NOC. In full color, you see me. The hard knock life, comics, movies, and TV. Yeah, pop culture with a different perspective. Watch it on your screen, hit play, so check this.